With the gift of hindsight, there are 6 skills that I would focus on as a new coach. And on today's episode, I'm going to give you those skills, the order in which I would do them, and some insights on how you can develop each skill. And that's coming up next right here on Coach Smarter. Welcome to Coach Smarter, the show for online coaches who understand that true success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters most and aligning your business with your life. I'm your host, Stephen Box, and I want to show you how to grow a profitable, sustainable coaching business without sacrificing your health, relationships, or personal time. So if you're ready to grow your online coaching business without getting burned out, let me show you how to coach smarter, not harder. Hey, welcome to another episode of Coach Smarter, brought to you by Unshakable Habits. I am your host, Stephen Box, and today I'm giving you the 6 skills that every new or struggling coach needs if you want your business to grow. Now, if you are new around here, or maybe you just don't know my background, I just want to share with you really quickly, not to brag, but just so you know that this is coming from a lot of experience. I have over 2 decades of coaching and training people, including the last 14 years running my own coaching business, and 2 years of experience at Precision Nutrition, the world's largest nutrition education company, doing live calls with coaches about issues they're having with clients or in their coaching business. So based on all of that experience, I have come up with a list of 6 skills that I believe are absolutely crucial to your success as a coach. So number 1, let's start with the one that feels a little bit obvious, but I think there's some importance in covering this. And that is, you need to work on your coaching skills. The reality is, you have to have some technical expertise. Doesn't matter if this is personal experience, some kind of education, certification, whatever the case is, you need to know how to get someone from point A to point B. If you don't know how to get someone from point A to point B, nothing else is going to matter because you're not going to get that person to stick around. It's like trying to cut down a tree with a dull axe. You're not going to go anywhere very fast. But unlike that tree that's going to sit there and stay still while you try to cut it down, a client is going to get up and leave. They're not going to just sit there and wait for you to get it figured out. So before you even worry about anything else, you need to know how to coach people. Because if you don't, they're not going to see results. You're not going to get them to stick around long enough to see results, I should say, which means you're not going to get referrals, you're not going to get testimonials, and you're not going to build confidence in your own skills, which means you're probably not going to be in business very long. And that's a very big part of the reason why so many coaches fail so early on and don't really get to that 2nd year, that 5th year, and so on. So let's talk about how do you actually improve this? Well, a couple of things. So number 1 is, if there are certifications that are available to you, highly suggest that. Another option is you can hire a coach for yourself, see how they do things, learn that process. And if it's somebody who's really good at what they do, you're going to learn probably more from them just by getting coached than you ever will with a certification. But I will also say this in favor of a certification or program is, a lot of times they will give you a framework for coaching. Like, I know when I was at Precision Nutrition, we had a 6-step process that I still use in my business today. That's a really good process. So anytime you're doing a certification program like that, they usually have a framework, and those are fantastic, especially for new coaches. Now, if you've been doing this as long as me, you've taken that framework and customized it and made it your own. But in the beginning, you can really just go by what they're giving you. Because when you have those skills, you're going to be able to get better results to your clients, keep them around. That leads to referrals, that leads to testimonials, that leads to credibility, that leads to you being more confident in your ability to deliver results. All right, got that one out of the way. The next one that you really need to focus on is understanding your market. Here's the way I like to think about this. If you were to go on social media right now, make a bunch of posts, and you got absolute crickets, like no likes, no shares, no comments, no kind of engagement whatsoever. You might think to yourself, well, people just aren't interested in this. But the reality is you're not speaking a language that they're interested in. Now, maybe some people aren't interested in what you have to offer, and that's totally cool. You can't serve everyone. But think about it this way. If you were to visit a foreign country and you only spoke your language, you'd struggle to connect with anybody because they're all speaking a different language than you. When you get on social media and you just start posting a bunch of like inspirational quotes and random tips and things like that, things that you think are important or things that you think are valuable or things that are from your point of view, but you're not touching on what's important to them. You're not speaking their language. You're not addressing their problems, their concerns. It's like speaking a foreign language, right? It's like going to a foreign country and speaking your language, I should say. So you end up spending a lot of time and energy creating content and offers and trying to talk to people, and it gets you nowhere. You just end up wasting a lot of your time and effort. So the question becomes, how do we actually go about improving our market understanding? There's a few questions I like to ask myself when looking at a new market or a new niche. The first question I always ask is, what are the top 3 or 4 problems that this person is experiencing? And I try to get really specific on that. So let's say I'm helping someone with stress management. And one of the problems that they're experiencing that they would like to solve is that they often will get irritated and snap at a loved one. How often is that happening? Is it once a day? Is it once a week? Is it once a month? Because depending on how often it's happening will depend on how big, or will decide how big of a problem it really is for this person and how badly they really want to solve it. We need problems to solve for people that they want to take action on. So that's the first thing. I want to make sure I understand what are their biggest problems and how frequent are those problems and how are those problems actually showing up in their lives. The second question I want to ask is, what mistakes are they making that are actually causing those problems to happen? And they may not be aware that they're making these mistakes, by the way. These might just be things they're doing that are causing that mistake to occur. The next question that I ask is, what have they tried to do to fix this problem that's probably actually made it worse? Once I know that, my next question is, what have they tried that had some success, but there was something missing? And what was that piece that was missing? So if you really break it down in that way, it helps you start to get a much clearer picture. And then the final thing that I like to look at is, what are the norms in their world? Societal norms, family norms, cultural norms that might be impacting their mindset or the way that they're going about handling these problems. All of those things together give you a much clearer view of who it is that you're trying to serve. All right, let's move on to skill number 3, which is effective communication. Now, this one kind of goes a little hand in hand with coaching skills, because good coaching skills are all about effective communication, including active listening. And the example I always like to use here is of a bridge. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these suspension bridges that when you walk on, they're usually over some ridiculously high cliff, and they shake when you walk across them. And you're not really sure if it's safe to even walk across it. When we're communicating to people and we're not doing so in a way that makes them feel seen, that makes them feel heard, they look at what you're saying almost like it's a suspension bridge. They're not sure that it's safe to cross it. They don't trust it enough, right? But when you can speak their language, when you can learn to use stories and be clear and direct, and people don't have to sit there and try to decipher what you're talking about, it's easier for them to trust it. And it's easier to get them to cross the bridge. So how do we go about fixing this? This one's going to be tough for a lot of you. It was really tough for me. You have to go backwards to where your potential client is right now. You have to remove your level of understanding that you have now as a coach. And you have to look at it through their perspective. They don't have certifications you have. They don't have the experiences you have. They don't have the benefit of having coached other people. They don't have any of that stuff. You need to communicate them where they are. Because if you don't, they're just going to be confused. And if you've ever read Donald Miller's Story Brand, he says it all the time. Confused minds don't buy. Learning to communicate effectively is one of the most important skills, period, that anyone can learn, not just coaches, but it's super important for coaches as well. All right, moving on to skill number 4 here, sales. Now listen, I know I might have just lost some of you. You might hate selling. You might feel like it's awkward, might make you feel pushy, any of that stuff. But here is the reality of the situation. If you don't sell to people, you have no clients. No clients equals no income. So simple. I want to shift your perspective here on sales. And by the way, I've been selling since I was probably like in middle school. So I have a comfort level with sales that most coaches don't have. But I think the reason why is because I have always viewed sales differently. I don't view sales as being pushy or trying to make someone do something. I view sales as offering something that someone needs, offering a benefit to them. And it's like giving someone a lifeboat when they're drowning. If you were out and you saw someone drowning and you had a lifeboat, would you say, I don't want to offer them the lifeboat because that would be pushy and I don't want to sell them on a lifeboat? No, they're drowning. They want the lifeboat. Give it to them, right? So it's not about you. It's not about your discomfort with the process. It's understanding that this person has problems that you have a solution for. They have pain and discomfort in their life that they want to go away, and you have a solution that can help them. You owe it to them to offer that solution, right? That's what happens. Now, if you don't do this, if you don't offer your solution to people, and I'm not saying just go randomly offer your solution to everybody, offer it to people that need it. That's why we talked about the importance of the market understanding, right? Understanding your market. That way you know who it is that you can help and what you can help them with. And then the communication skills, so you can communicate it to it in a clear way so that they understand that you're helping them. That's why sales is number 4 on the list and not higher up, even though it's super important to do, because you need these other skills first. So if you learn to reframe your own brain to treat sales as a conversation about solving their problems and just offering your services like in a natural, non-pushy way, then you're going to feel a lot better about sales, right? When you are talking to someone and you help them see that you understand the problem and that you have a solution to it, and you say like, hey, if you're ready, here it is, right? You don't have to be pushy about it. You don't have to beat people down or manipulate them or anything else. Sales, learn it, please, begging you. All right, number 5, systems. You have to create systems. So at this point in the process, this is where I'm going to assume that you would be if you are skill number 5. You have already to at least get a solid foundation of coaching skills. You may not know everything yet, and that's totally okay. You just need to be one step above the person you're trying to coach, right? If you're coaching someone from point A to point B, you just need to already have been at point B. right? That's it. That's all you need. If you're at least at point B, you are good enough to coach that person. You also have taken the time to do the research to understand who it is you're helping, the problems that you're helping them solve. You've taken care of that part. You've also created another solid foundation of effective communication. Again, you don't need to be perfect here. Effective communication is a skill that you are likely going to develop for the rest of your life. Don't worry about trying to get everything down. Just learn to improve over time. And then you've also gotten comfortable with the idea of sales, and you are offering your services to people and they are saying yes, and you are getting clients. All right, so I'm assuming that that's where you are, that all that has already happened if you are on skill number 5. So skill 5, systemization. So this is how we start to create a business that helps us to avoid burnout. Because as you start to get more clients, you're going to realize you need systems in place, okay? Because trying to build a business without systems is like trying to build a house without a blueprint. Yeah, maybe it looks like a house and maybe you get it there for the most part, but it's probably not going to turn out exactly the way that you were hoping for it to, right? Because you didn't have something to guide you. So systems are something we always talk a lot about on the podcast. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it right here on this episode, but I'm just going to say that this is a testing process, especially early on. You need to do things, find out how they are, see what your work capacity is, see how much you can take on, learn how long things are going to take, and then you need to create the systems. You need to create those repeatable workflows that you can document so that you have a process that you know works, and you have something you can always refer back to. Because if you're doing the process the same way every time and you start to notice there's certain things that happen, you can always go back and change them. But if, on the other hand, everything is smooth, then you know you can just leave it alone. But if you don't have a documented process for everything, it's not going to go well. And just to be clear here, when we start talking about systems, we are talking about systems for coaching, marketing, content creation, scheduling, everything, right? Literally every aspect of your business needs its own systems. All right, and finally, number 6 is self-care. This is one that no one really talks about in terms of productivity and business growth. It's like a little blurb most of the time, right? Unless you're talking to somebody who really focuses on burnout or things like that, you very rarely hear people talk about self-care. And even in those markets, it's barely even touched on. Think about it this way. You can go put the best systems in the world in place. You could develop the best coaching skills. You can do all this stuff. But if you're just constantly burning yourself out, working super long hours, having work bleed into your personal time, skipping meals, skipping workouts, staying up late, not spending time with family or your loved ones, friends, having no social life, if you're doing all those things because you're literally so focused on trying to get everything into your day, you're going to burn out, right? It's like trying to not put your phone on the charger or it's like not putting your phone on the charger and then wondering why your battery just died on you, right? You don't want that. You have to prioritize self-care. And for me, this comes down to the basics of sleep, movement, nutrition, right? Eat good nutrition 80% of the time. Make sure you're getting in regular movement, getting plenty of sleep, and then also work on your stress management. I don't believe in the idea of getting rid of stress. I've talked about the stress sweet spot here on the podcast previously, but we need to find that sweet spot, not just get rid of stress. So it's all about managing your stress, because when you do those things, you're going to create some resilience and you're going to have sustainable energy to be able to show up as the best version of yourself for your clients. So those are the 6 skills that I would work on. as a new coach and the order in which I would work on them. So if you guys found this valuable, please do share this episode with someone else. Also, if you have any questions ever, my inbox is 100% open. Just connect with me over on Instagram at Unshakable Habits. Send me a DM with your questions and I will be happy to answer for you. No obligation. I'm not going to hard pitch you or anything like that. Just shoot me your question and I'll be happy to answer you or point you at least in the right direction of where you can find the information that you're looking for. So make sure you come back and join us again on our next episode. But until then, this is Stephen Box reminding you, as always, today is a great day. Break free from the chaos and start living life on your terms.